there's a lie making the rounds among some women my age. Maybe you've heard it. Maybe you've said it quietly to yourself in the kitchen, in your car. It's too late for me. Too late to start the business. Too late to write the book. Too late to travel, to fall in love, to begin again. Well, I've spent 47 years as a certified financial planner, sitting knee to knee with women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. And I'm here to tell you that lie is the heaviest rock in your pack. And today we're setting it down for good. Welcome. I'm Debra Morrison, and I'm absolutely delighted you're here. Whether you've been with us since season 1 or this is your very first episode, welcome to the We Can Do It Women family. Because this isn't simply another television show, it's a movement. Yes, a movement inviting women 50 and wiser to stop asking permission, to stop minimizing themselves, to stop believing they're too old or too late, and instead begin choosing every single day the life they truly want to create. This season, you'll meet extraordinary women who have dared to reinvent themselves, living proof of what's possible. And my hope is that while you're watching their stories, you'll begin imagining and rewriting your own. Because I believe there are millions more remarkable women whose greatest chapters are still ahead of them. Women have spent decades, perhaps raising children, building careers, supporting spouses, caring for aging parents, volunteering, serving everyone else, while quietly placing their own dreams on the shelf. Not because they lacked talent, and certainly not because they lacked intelligence, but because somewhere along the way they began believing their best years were behind them. And I don't believe that for 1 second. In fact, I believe the exact opposite. And I've met thousands of women proving it. For decades, many of us have become experts at choosing everyone else: the partner, the children, the employer, the church, the synagogue, the PTA, the aging parents, the grandchildren, everyone except ourselves. And somehow society called that virtue. Well, today I want to challenge that because, among other things, it's plain bad psychology. The airlines got this one right. Pilots issue this instruction: should the cabin experience sudden pressure loss, oxygen masks will drop down from above your seat. Pull a mask toward you to start the flow of oxygen. Place the mask over your nose and mouth. Secure the elastic band around your head, then pull the sides to tighten it. Always secure your own mask first before you help others. These instructions ensure we stay conscious during a drop in cabin pressure, as hypoxia sets in after only 15 to 30 seconds at high altitudes. Let's remember that psychology. You deserve joy without guilt. You deserve financial confidence. And yes, I believe confidence can be built at any age. Purpose has no expiration date. And wisdom is one of life's greatest competitive advantages. And yet, maybe you've been waiting until you lose the weight, waiting until retirement, waiting until someone believes in you, waiting until life finally feels safe. But what if the waiting is the very thing keeping you from becoming who you're meant to be? You deserve to pursue that business, write that book, run for office, climb that mountain, paint that picture, start over, or leave what no longer loves you back. Or simply wake up every morning excited about your own life. Because your next chapter doesn't begin when someone gives you permission. It begins when you do. because you are the steward of the only life you'll ever have. And choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's taking radical responsibility for the one life only you can live. As I like to say, at 60, 70, or 80, you're not too late. You're finally qualified. There's a word for what I'm describing, and it's the word this entire season is built around: agency. Yes, agency is your ability to choose your life instead of simply reacting to it. It's the moment a woman stops asking, "What do others expect of me?" and starts asking, "What do I choose for myself?" Everything changes after that. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you always, always have the power to choose your next step. And sometimes agency begins with one powerful little word: no. Because until our no is taken seriously, our yes is meaningless. When we come back, 2 stories from my own life that taught me the true cost of waiting. One of them still breaks my heart. Stay right there.
Let me introduce you to Debra Morrison. If you're a woman who thinks her best years are behind her, we're here to tell you your best chapter is just beginning. Join the We Can Do It Women Facebook group. It's more than a community, it's a revolution. Reclaim your dreams, master your finances, and unleash your potential. We're just getting started. Join now, and let's make the rest of our lives the best of our lives. We can do it, women. Join us today.
Welcome back. Before the break, I promised you 2 stories. Here's the first. When I was a young woman, 11th grade, some friends invited me to drive with them to California. Yes, we were in a church in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, raising money for a mission in India. And they were going to drive to California to appeal to churches there. And we were chattering back and forth, and it was very exciting. And they turned to me and said, "Deb, why don't you come?" What? California? No, I can't. I can't do that. The good girl reflex. Other obligations, other people. Surely the farm needed me more in the summer. The next morning, I mentioned it to my mother, fully expecting her to approve of my sensible choice. Yet instead, my mother looked at me and said, "Why didn't you go?" What? Yeah, she said, "I was in church Sunday night and Lois turned to me and said, 'We're driving to California tomorrow. Would you like to help us drive?'" And that's how my mom went to California. Well, that was all the permission I needed and the last time I ever waited for it. And I have loved travel ever since. Now, here's the second story, and this one is harder to tell. My maternal grandmother worked doggedly hard her entire life. Decades of labor, standing, sweat pouring off her brow, ironing fitted sheets, putting everyone else first. And in all of those years, she took exactly one trip for herself, one cruise. We all have a print of that photograph of her, my aunt, and cousin on the deck of that ship, posing with the life preserver, sporting the most beatific smile I had ever seen. She loved it. Yet in over just 1 year, she died of pancreatic cancer. One cruise. One. After a lifetime of earning 10 of them, 100 of them. I'll never forget that photograph. And you know what I did with that grief? I stood shoulder to shoulder with my mom as we wept over Grandma in that casket. And I told Grandma how elated I was that she got to experience one luxury cruise in her life, even though she deserved far more. And I turned to my mom and I said, Mom, I will take you traveling around the world, and you can experience more joy and travel adventures than Grandma. And I did. At the time, I was selling financial products, winning all expenses paid trips for two. So I took my mom traveling all over the world, snorkeling, eating food she never had to prepare nor clean up, and experiencing the ocean 1,000 feet deep on Grand Caymans. Those trips are among the treasures of my life and hers. And then I stood with clients over the caskets of their spouses, with them uttering how grateful they were to finally go to Hawaii. And another family taking 27 of their family on a luxury Disney vacation. And another couple hot air ballooning over Turkey and Greece, experiencing lifetime rich memories. We used the tool called money to achieve their dreams, some of which had set collecting dust on a high shelf for decades. Deferred dreams dim in time, however, so let's enliven our dreams and think of new ones and live life fully. Because life is not a dress rehearsal. Look no farther than your own circle of friends, or these female New Jersey residents who died way too young just in the last week. Patricia, 66 years old. Wendy, 54. Natasha, 52. Tina, 61. Antoinette, 48 years old. Obituaries full of everything they did for everyone else, and painfully quiet about what they ever did for themselves. So how do we stop waiting? Well, we choose and we act. Yeah, we shed that pack, all that weight we've been hauling up the hill, the tired old stories, the guilt, the perfectionism, the people pleasing, because the hill we can do it, women, is really climbing is choice. And let me remind you, what happens when women make that choice at every age? Julia Child didn't publish her first cookbook until she was nearly 50. Gladys Burrill completed her first marathon at age 86, completing several more until her final marathon at age 92, logging a Guinness World Record. Speaking of Guinness World Records, how about Tao Porchon Lynch, who at age 93 was still teaching yoga? Laura Ingalls Wilder published her first Little House book at 65. Louise Hay launched the publishing empire that changed self-help heading into her 60s. Julia Hurricane Hawkins became a competitive track sprinter at age 100, continued running till her death at age 108. Diana Nyad swam from Cuba to Florida, 110 miles open ocean at 64 on her fifth try, 35 years after her first. And Grandma Moses picked up a paintbrush in her late 70s and became one of Hallmark's most beloved and wealthy artists, with a net worth over $3 million when she died in 1961 at age 101. Too late? There is no such thing. The women who came generations before us, however, didn't get all that chance. As Susan Sarandon put it, her mother's generation didn't have much say over their own lives. We do. What an inheritance, and what a responsibility. My dear late friend, Dr. Susan Jeffers, wrote the landmark book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And Susan's secret for dissolving fear was one little sentence: whatever happens, I'll handle it. Say that with me now. Whatever happens, I'll handle it. because we don't overcome fear by waiting until we feel fearless. We overcome fear by acting despite our fear. Amelia Earhart said the most difficult thing is simply the decision to act. And Eleanor Roosevelt told us, do one thing every day that scares you. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, assuming agency as a daily practice, 7 questions that will change how you start your morning, plus a look at the remarkable women joining us this season. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Here's my long-standing philosophy tested across 4 decades of coaching women through grief, financial uncertainty, leadership, and reinvention. Women don't build confidence by waiting until they feel fearless. Women build confidence through intentional choices, which means agency isn't a lightning bolt. It's a daily practice. So every morning, I invite you to ask yourself questions like these. What do I choose today? Where will I invest my time? How will I care for myself? Who deserves access to my energy? What conversation am I avoiding? What dream am I no longer willing to postpone? And you knew the money question was coming from this certified financial planner. How will I steward my money so that it reflects the life I actually want to live? 7 questions, 2 minutes with your coffee. That's the practice. Because agency isn't something someone gives you. It's something you decide to claim. And sometimes it leads to a spotlight or a stage. Sometimes to a well-worn passport. Sometimes to starting a business, or opening an investment account, or leaving a relationship that shrinks you. And sometimes it simply leads to saying, for the first time in your life, I chose me. And hear this. Every time a woman chooses herself, she quietly gives another woman permission to do the same. Your courage is contagious. And that's why this is a movement and not just a show. Now about this season, the theme is more women, more wisdom, more impact. And my guests deliver all 3 in spades. You'll meet a woman who was told she'd spend her life in a wheelchair. She refused that story, reclaimed her health, and now ballroom dances in high heels. A globally recognized strategist who will show you why the smartest plan on paper fails without the right emotions behind it. Yes, emotional intelligence, something we women are hardwired with, and why careers were never meant to be straight lines. A fierce former banker taking on the $50 billion scam industry that preys on our seniors. She protects the people we love. And a brain performance expert who will prove to you with science that you can build brand new neural pathways at any age. Neuroplasticity in action, yes. Each of these women describes agency the very same way, becoming the author of her life instead of a character or marionette in someone else's story. And wow, has each of these women punched a powerful impact on themselves, their families, their clients, and the world. So if this conversation lit a spark, my books and resources are at wecandoitwomen.com. They'll keep it burning between episodes, and come join our community there. And before I let you go, here's your agency action for this week. Just one. Make one choice this week that your future self will thank you for. Book the trip. Make the call. Open the account. Say the no's. Say the yes. One courageous decision that will seed your next chapter, because you don't need more permission. Your best years aren't behind you. They're the ones you're about to author. The world desperately needs your energy, your verve, and your decades of hard-won wisdom, not just your decades of birthdays. So let's live and make fun and funny memories in however many days or years we're gifted. I'm Debra Morrison. Thank you for spending this time with me. And remember, at We Can Do It Women, we are stronger together.